so much for joining us today. Just a couple of housekeeping items as usual. My name is Joanna. I'm the project and grant coordinator here at Nevada Housing Coalition and coordinating this statewide capacity building initiative, Elevate Nevada, that was generously sponsored with a grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. So we wanted to talk a little bit today to you about the bank's affordable housing financing program and showcase some of the really unique and awesome projects around the region that have utilized those funds. Some of our experienced developers here in Nevada, and we also have special guests from Arizona, Joe Kiefer from Native American Connections. But we're going to kick off today actually with another special guest. All of our guests are special, of course. But we're going to be joined today from Hector Lizaola from Senator Catherine Cortez Masto's office, who's going to give us a little special message about their support of this program. And I'll let Hector take it away.
Thank you for the introduction, Joanna. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here today on behalf of Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. And as it relates to today's topic, Senator Cortez Masto has fought for this program for over the past 5 years. The Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco has promised to dramatically update its investment in Nevada, and the senator is glad to see progress like the support for the Nevada Housing Coalition and the Targeted Fund for Nevada. Senator Cortez Masto led the Nevada delegation letter requesting that 20% of the AHP be set aside for Nevada. And so we know that 31 multifamily housing programs receive funding under the Home Means Nevada. Most of these projects would be strong applicants for the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco Targeted Fund. And so we hope that this application process is easy and similar to that of the Home Means Nevada. We also know that few tribes receive the Home Means Nevada funds, but they receive funds from other federal programs. And so we also hope that these tribes apply for the Federal Home Loan Bank San Francisco Nevada Targeted Fund. So everyone reach out to banks and credit unions asking them to sponsor you for a project. Do that soon and keep us in the loop in those discussions. In addition, as you apply for the affordable housing program, the general or the Nevada Targeted Fund, do let me and the center staff know. We want to know how many applications were submitted and of course the amount. The list of applicants is not public information, so unless you tell us, we won't know. This is not a one-year effort, so we hope that by demonstrating through viable applications that we continue to make the case for Targeted Nevada Fund over the next years. Lastly, I would like to remind everyone that your secure online workspace must be created by March 2nd, and the deadline for the application is on March 9th. So that's just a little over a month. Thank you all, and I hope everyone is excited to listen to our guests today. Back to you, Joanna.
Thank you so much, Hector. That's such a great and nice message from Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. We know that she has been a champion for affordable housing and really helped push this initiative forward. So thank you for that. Next up, we have Rose Wirtz from the Federal Home Loan Bank San Francisco. Give us a little update on the progress of that. The applications are open now. Rose is a senior analyst from the Affordable Housing Program Funding and Compliance with the Federal Home Loan Bank. So let's give her a warm virtual welcome, which as we all know is silent. So she will talk to us a bit.
Thanks, Joanna. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today with you all on behalf of the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco, just to give an overview of our Affordable Housing Program, or AHP. I know we've joined the coalition for a number of events last year, so I am going to keep this brief just to allow maximum time for the presentations and questions, but I do just want to highlight a few key points about the AHP and our upcoming timeline. So we are best known for our AHP General Fund, which is what helped to finance all the great projects we'll hear about today. But this year we are introducing our new program, the Nevada Targeted Fund. It's basically a separate pot of AHP funds that's earmarked specifically for Nevada projects. We don't know how much funding will be in the Nevada Targeted Fund yet, so unfortunately I cannot answer that question now. But it will be an amount that's specifically for Nevada projects, so we really hope you apply. It's a separate application from the general fund, but it's structured very similar to the general fund in every other way. I do have some slides here, so let me pull them up. I just wanted to give some key basics about the AHP. Looks like my screen just loaded, just to sort of level set before we get into the speaker presentations. So as has been mentioned, it's a source of gap financing for affordable housing projects of up to $1 million per project. It's very flexible. It can be used on a variety of project types, and it can cover many different project costs. And the award is structured as a forgivable loan, so no repayment is necessary as long as the project remains affordable. And I also wanted to keep this brief, but highlight the most important part of our current timeline, which is that we are in the application season. So we are currently accepting applications for both the general fund and the Nevada Targeted Fund. As Hector mentioned, the applications are due on March 9th. Last week, we hosted our application webinars for the Nevada Targeted Fund, and we had about 51 participants. We do have a recording of that webinar. It's a great resource. It covers how to apply. It gives an overview of the scoring categories and the point allocations, the documentation requirements, and the financial review. So if you're thinking about applying, I definitely recommend watching that webinar, and maybe we can drop a link to that recording in the chat at some point during this presentation for you. And then lastly, I just wanted to plug our upcoming Q&A session for the Nevada Targeted Fund. So this is something new we're trying this year, since we assume we'll have a lot of new applicants and it's a new program. This is going to be a more informal session, sort of like office hours, where you can drop in and ask any questions that may have arisen while filling out the application, whether it's about eligibility requirements or the scoring categories. You can drop by, ask your questions, and we'll be able to answer those for you. So we really hope to see you there. You can sign up on our website on the events page, and maybe we can drop a link to the registration in the chat as well. Yeah, so again, we hope to see you there. We hope you apply for AHP funds in the upcoming round. And that's it from me. So I'm going to turn it back to Joanna to get this show on the road.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rose. And thank you so much to everyone on the Affordable Housing Program team at the Federal Home Loan Bank for supporting this initiative. And we are really excited to see what developments come out of this program and how many units get supported with these funds. I am going to introduce our moderator next, but just a quick note that we are dropping all of those links in the chat during these conversations. So be sure and register for those webinars or reach out for more information. And if you miss the links, you can always reach out to me and email me, and I can connect you to all those resources as well. Thank you to Amanda for dropping those links in the chat while we're rolling. So next up, we want to jump into our panel discussion, and I want to introduce our moderator, Ralph Murphy. Ralph is the Senior Vice President of Real Estate Development at Nevada Hand and has more than 40 years of experience in real estate development. In his role at Nevada Hand, he oversees the acquisition, financing, and development of his organization's real estate folio. So lots of experience, going to be a great conversation happening, and lots of detailed information about how these funds can really be leveraged to finance and get those projects across the finish line. So without further ado, I'll let you take it over, Ralph. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanna. I appreciate it. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Nevada Housing Coalition Lunch and Learn Project Showcase. We've got 3 projects that were awarded affordable housing program funds from the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco today. So for those of you that aren't aware, Nevada Hand is the largest developer and operator of affordable housing in Nevada, with serving over 8,000 residents. And we have a staff of 270 people supporting that effort. I want to quick thank you again to Senator Cortez Masto and Hector Lizaola. Thank you for your support in securing these targeted funds for us. We have 3 panelists today, Joe Keeper, Beth Dunning, and Eddie Holt. I'll introduce them kind of one at a time as we go through here. So let me first quickly jump into this. We have a limited time here. I'd like to introduce Joe Keeper. Joe is Senior Director of Real Estate Development with the Nevada American Connection, where he oversees development of affordable housing stock and their real estate portfolio. Joe has 20 years of experience in real estate, has completed nearly $500 million in development and acquisition projects, nearly 5,000 housing units. Joe did serve on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee of the Home Loan Bank, and from 2006 to also served on the City of Phoenix Commission on Housing and Neighborhoods, among other boards. So Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about the Stepping Stone Supportive Housing Project in Phoenix. Now, this was a 42-unit expansion, as I understand it, of their existing facility to serve very low-income, chronically homeless households, and with a preference for Beth.
Yep.
Take it away, Joe.
Perfect. Thanks, Ralph. Well, hopefully everyone can hear me okay. And thanks again to everyone at the Nevada Coalition for inviting us here from cold Arizona to speak today. What you're looking at is a picture of actually Stepping Stone Phase 2. I wanted to show this kind of as a starting point to kind of jump into a little bit of this campus that collectively is a little over 120 housing units with a special focus on serving chronically homeless individuals under a housing first supportive housing delivery model. The two buildings that are on each side of this picture were actually built in the 1920s, and that green building that's in the middle became the second phase of this campus development around 2012. If we can go to the next aerial, it'll make a little bit more sense. Native American Connections purchased this 2+ acre property, almost 3 acre property in late 1990s. We partnered originally with Mercy Housing, and we did a lot split to sort of take advantage of different financing opportunities that were available through the city of Phoenix at that point to essentially construct what would be 44 units of housing that would serve homeless individuals. The challenge that we quickly faced within a few years of opening was the fact that, we were renovating and operating these two buildings that are on the left and the building that's on the right, really with very little renovation dollars that were put into them when we first acquired and opened them. And really we're having challenges leasing up these existing units. So we made an effort with our funding partners to sort of freeze the funding at the time and construct that new 82, 83 unit building that sits in the middle, actually while the campus was still being operated as a housing property to the existing residents. Once the new building was constructed, we moved all those current residents into the new building and got us an opportunity to renovate those two 1920 buildings on the left. They serve as our sort of support services building and our property management building. Created a nice, secure courtyard with lots of activities that happen there, coming into a single point of entry into the new building. We were left with a back building on the right side of the picture here on top that was essentially a community hall that was built in the 1950s and didn't really have any functional use for us at Native American Connections. So we worked with the city of Phoenix on some parking variances and some use permits and a new site plan that actually allowed us, we were able to take advantage of that original lot split that Native American Connections did in the late 1990s to construct phase 3, which is the topic of sort of here, this presentation. You can see collectively, I put in a little bit of information just so folks that might be interested, the number of units in total on the campus and the number of parking spaces as well. Serving, parking's a little a thorn in my side here with the city of Phoenix. We're serving a chronically homeless individual clientele, but yet we still have to park it very similar to what you'd see in a suburban parking requirement. So yeah, next picture, please. Some of these pictures on the top left kind of show how close these two buildings are situated. Drastically different architectural designs. I question that sometimes, but I don't make all the decisions on design stuff. We have a team that does that. So, but actually it fits kind of nicely. And then you can see, you know, kind of the building itself on the right. And then of course on the bottom left, that is not my Corvette, by the way, that's sitting there on the bottom. That's, I don't know who that is. If we can go to the next picture, please. So the units, as you can see here in the both the top left and the bottom right, you know, they're considered studio style apartment units, roughly 500 square feet, as I recall. We partially furnish all of the units. Again, we're serving a chronically homeless individual. Average chronicity has been around 15 years or so. And so we're getting folks, you know, off the street. This is really like life-saving in many ways. But we have to bring them in, and, you know, we need to provide them some light furnishings and some light smallware goods so they can actually, you know, get functional use out of their apartment. And then along the way, we'll build a lot of social programming and life skills training that will take place here in the community space on the ground level that you can see on the top right in the bottom left-hand corner, where we've got a small little community kitchen. The big thing that I think happens here that's pretty successful is a ton of social interaction, not only between the residents and our staff, but other support organizations that might come in and help us with whatever levels of services are required by the tenants. This is permanent supportive housing, so folks can stay here as long as they need to be. Some move on into other housing communities that we own and operate, or other properties as well. But many folks stay, and that's okay. They've got a nice, safe place to live that they're really familiar with. So maybe Joanna, the next slide. The numbers. This was an interesting one. We originally applied for 9% credits, didn't quite get it. So then we had to go to the difficult route of switching this to a 4% tax-exempt bond finance project. You can see the capital stack. There's about 9 different sources here, between a combination of equity that Native American Connections had to put in to actually construct the project, as well as the land valuation structured as a seller carryback. We had to go out and find some cheaper money to fill in a loan that Native American Connections collaterally assigned to the limited partnership, as well as working with the city and the state. You can see some of their National Housing Trust Fund and home dollars. And I know of particular interest to folks on this call right now is the AHP funding that we received through the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. Raza Development Fund served as our member bank. And you can see that, you know, we were able to essentially leverage the AHP funds over 26 times, which is pretty substantial impact for kind of the last piece of dollars that came into this project. We can go to the next page. Again, more numbers, kind of hard to see. So hopefully when you guys get a chance to look at these slides, you can zoom in. We're serving chronically homeless individuals. Many come in. Some come in with vouchers, many do not. Those that do not have vouchers, we're able to work with our Continuum of Care program for some of the service and operational dollars that we're able to get through HUD on that. You can see, you know, including utilities, the average monthly rent that's pro forma is roughly $363 a month. Many folks don't pay that at the start. They're coming in with zero income. They work with our benefit specialist folks, the group, the individuals really at Native American Connections that do the heavy lift, and working with the tenants and the clients on a daily basis, getting their various entitlements, you know, submitted, processed, if it's, you know, through Social Security or the VA, trying to get them mainstreamed from, you know, using emergency care as their primary, you know, sort of mode of medical assistance into maybe primary care, And then along the way with whatever behavioral health services that we can provide at Native American Connections. Might go to the next page. Oh, this is it. But I've got a one-page bullet point here that's sort of or a one-page community profile. I'm not too sure if we're going to pull it up. Again, we're hoping you guys get emailed this. It kind of just gives a little bit more descriptive on the services, some of the design features, and kind of how it came to be. The project is LEED Platinum certified. We're pretty big fans of following the LEED certified process, especially because we're the owner operators, and even more so on a property like this where we're paying all the utility bills. We just want to make sure that we're getting the most bang we can for our buck. And with that, I'll leave it because I know we're going to have some questions and Q&A after. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Joe. So quick question, would you been able to execute this project without the AHP funds?
Well, I have to say no, of course, right now, but
Right.
it would have been really difficult. We just don't have a lot of gap resources here in Arizona. So it took us 9 different sources, along with, $2+ million of our own equity and capital to make this project work. So, I kind of wish we would have applied for more AHP funding, frankly, if we could go back and do it again.
Yeah.
Like what Rose said earlier, you can get up to $1 million per project. There's always scoring considerations when you make an application for the Federal Home Loan Bank with AHP funds. So we got to bear that in mind.
Thank you, Joe. We really appreciate it. We may have some more questions for you at the end here.
Excellent.
Given our limited time, Stunning. Beth is the Director of Community Development for the Nevada Rural Housing Authority. She has over 26 years of experience in real estate development and construction. And Beth's team at the Rural Housing Authority work on planning and controlling their budget, all real estate acquisitions, dispositions, new construction, projects, rural community outreach, and program funding compliance. So we appreciate you joining us today. Beth is going to describe the HEAT, which is a new construction project consisting of 60 that received an AHP award last year. So with that, I'm going to ask Beth to describe Hafen Village.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I don't have any slides prepared today, but Hafen Village started as a bunch of discussions between NRHA and the city of Mesquite. And Mesquite may not seem rural. It's probably a bigger city for us to work in since we stick to the rural areas. But there's definitely a need there for family affordable housing. So the city of Mesquite donated about a 5-acre parcel, an infill parcel, to NRHA for the purposes of developing affordable housing. This project was originally developed as a 96-unit property, and due to what we anticipated as the availability of funds through the 9% tax credits, we ended up splitting it into 2 projects, and we were going to do a 60-unit phase and a 36-unit phase. Then through all of the chaos of last year and ARPA funding and the tax credit rounds and everything, we ended up coming back around, and we now have a 96-unit project again. So we're building a total of 96 units, but the AHP application that we submitted was based on 60. So it's a vacant parcel, and it's in a residential area. It's going to consist of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom walk-up apartments in 6 2- and 3-story buildings. There's also a standalone 1-story leasing center that will have a leasing office, community space, library, computer room, fitness room, laundry room, maintenance room, all of the good community amenities that we usually include in a 9% tax credit project. The apartments all have covered balconies and storage areas, and we agreed to meet the Silver State Sustainable Housing Tier 2 certification, so there'll be very high energy efficiencies. The site amenities include a playground, picnic areas, cornhole courts, and dog park and community gardens. So this property is designed to serve families that are below 50% AMI, and we will also have about 12 units that are set aside for seniors. We worked with Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority, and they awarded this project 25 project-based vouchers, which will enable us to better assist those lower income families. There will also be a service coordinator on site to assist residents. In addition to the AHP funds, our project capital stack includes 9% tax credits, housing trust funds, and Clark County home funds. The project total costs are a little over $37 million, and the AHP funding is $900,000 of that. So when we were when we were putting together all of our tax credit applications, we submitted a tax credit application for 2021, and we were awarded that. And then we ended up submitting a 2022 application for the phase 2. And we've now been able, like I said, to combine all of that into one larger project. So when we were putting together our numbers last year, in January, we were at about a $14.2 million construction contract, which is about $1.5 million over what was in our budget at the time. And I'm sure all of you can sympathize with that situation from last year, as costs were quickly going up. They were going up faster than we could get into contract. So we applied for $900,000 in HP funds and some additional tax credits, and that brought us back to got us to our $14.2 million construction budget and enabled us to move forward with the project. And then before we quite got into contract, the price of all construction went up another $1 million. So it was still a bit of a struggle to get this project off the ground, but we have reached the financial closing. We were able to break ground on November 3rd, and we've spent most of our first month and a half in construction moving dirt. Hafen is a hole in the ground, and we moved about 30,000 cubic yards of dirt from another property that was donated to us in another area of Mesquite that happens to be a hill. So we've taken down a portion of the hill to fill in the hole, and now we are moving forward, and we should be going vertical on our first buildings next week, if all goes according to plan. And we should be completing the project in about April of 2024. I think you're muted.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Sorry. We're all experiencing this increase in cost, which is creating new challenges for us on every project we execute. How did the HP money make a difference in your budget?
Well, like I said, we were about $1.5 million short of making our construction budget work to even move forward with the project. So getting $900,000 from AHP, that filled a huge chunk of that gap. And then we were able to apply for some additional tax credits, and it got us off and running. So this project would have been stuck without the AHP funding.
That's great. Well, thank you. I'll come back maybe with a few questions here at the end, but given the shortage of time, let me move to introduce Eddie Holt. Eddie's the Director of Development at the Chicanos, Por La Casa, Nevada, where he collaborates with developers, investors, nonprofits, local and state government agencies, and others to help revitalize and strengthen mid-urban community needs in Nevada. Eddie has 35 years of experience in land development, single and multifamily development, hotel and commercial buildings. Prior to joining Chicanos Public Housing, Eddie worked at the Nevada Rural Housing Authority. And he's an expert in housing design, having received several awards for creating innovative projects in Nevada, transforming rural land into viable, affordable housing developments. So Eddie, happy to have you with us today. And Eddie's going to describe Highland Manor in Carson City, a multifamily property that leveraged an AHP award in 2018 to renovate and preserve 52 affordable housing units. So with that, Eddie, tell us about Highland Manor.
All right, thank you for having me on the webinar here. This project was started in 2019, finished in 2010, about 13 months of construction and finalization. There's some source of funds of a project that Highland that we're talking about, the HP one without. Of course, just like capital stacks we were talking about earlier, there's always 6 to 9, sometimes 10 levels of monies that you have to generate. This particular project was not as difficult as some. It was major rehab on a project on about 4.8 acres. A project called Highland Manor. It's in the rural area between Carson City and Douglas County, Gardnerville, Minden, that area, an area called Micah Drive. It was built in 1978, and it was needing we pretty much did I call it a minor or moderate major rehab, to where we basically had to tear out about 6 walls, redo the flooring, tear the flooring up, everything inside, everything, your fixtures, everything had to be replaced, bathroom, plumbing, electrical, kitchen, built a couple of outside for every unit, closets and those type of things. So we pretty much tore it down to the structure, and everything except for the actual exterior structure and the exterior, like I said, exact framing of it. We even had to replace siding on about half of them that had gone to rot. So the neat thing about this project, it's a 4, 6, and 8 unit kind of bungalow type apartments. Most are single story, some are double. HUD project. It was the very first HUD project in this rural Nevada, and they basically we went to rehab this. It was easy, pretty much an easy project compared to what we're going through now. But basically, you had the hardest part was rehabbing repositioning tenants for a temporary time while we did certain improvements, and then getting them back and working that flow. The second hardest problem was we did have a problem in our clubhouse. We tore down the clubhouse and rebuilt the brown, and that was the only structure we rebuilt fully. And we had a contractor problem there. But other than that, it went out without too many hitches. As I said, you see my screen there, the HP funding was, we had 52 units in it, but one was a manager's office, so they gave us $10,000 a unit of the other 51. But you see pretty much my capital stack there. I just wanted to kind of compare it to a project I got going on now in Dayton. It's a 50 unit apartment complex. So you can see the change in the costs, in between a modern rehab to a new construction in today's time. So I just wanted to say this, I didn't want to take too much time here. The project, basically being a HUD project and mostly low income, it's really nice amenities. We put an added dog park. We're going to put a new kindergarten room in the kind of I should say a young kids room in the clubhouse. We will put definitely some basically gosh, I'm having a problem. Anyways, basically an exercise room and a computer room and a library. We were able to put a nice set of outdoor equipment for the kids, a play area. And the neat thing is we pretty much did all the rewalks to make sure they're all ADA compliant. We have over like 1.6 miles of walkways in that project because all the buildings are separated. So it's a nice community for the people to get out and walk their dogs and to get around the community. So it was a nice project, but we do feel the AHP funding, you can see it was a nice number, almost 10% of the LIHTC, which is always good if you get that much, about 5% of the project, but it always helps. The HP funding, like I said, the process I thought went really, really easy, especially up front in the application process. There is some compliance process at the back end that takes a little bit, but once you get a handle on that, it's pretty easy, pretty easy to go. I didn't get any HP funding on the Dayton project only because I was late to the ball and trying to get that done. And the people we'd use, Charles Schwab Bank, and my contact in Reno had quit, had retired, and Schwab wasn't handling it anymore. So I kind of was lost in the muck about being late to the party because I'd had no one to sponsor me at the time. But I will definitely use them in the future with the project. I used them in another project in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in Esperanza, just north of Santa Fe, where we rebuilt a mixed-use property. But they use it for some of the housing there. Anyways, the next slide here just gives you a quick update of some of the other projects. The one in Espanola, like I said on top, I used HP funds on. The Corridor Hope building in Las Vegas, we used HP funds on, you see. But those are all the projects I was involved in at CPLC now, and when I was with Beth at NHC. Beth worked with me for quite a few years, and worked together. And so there's quite a few projects that we used HP funding on it. So I just wanted to give you that kind of idea of that it's available. As long as you get your application in and pretty much you want to have your market studies and your certain things done, and you want to have land. You want to have control of the land. Whether you have an agreement to buy or you actually own it. That's the best thing to have when you go to these LIHTC and you go to these AHP applications. So I'll go and close it. I know we're a little bit late on time, so that's about all I had to say on the project. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Well, thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it. Obviously, you've participated in the program a number of times over the years. Do you expect to be submitting an application this coming year?
Not this year. I'm most likely move into a project in Fernley next year. If it happens this summer, then I'll probably apply next year. All right.
So how about you? You've got a number of things you're working on, I know. Do you have plans for seeking an award this coming year?
I'm sorry, I plan for what?
I'm speaking to Beth here for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just wondering if Beth is
we are looking at our pipeline right now and trying to figure out which projects we're going to move forward this year. So we have one that was a good possibility for AHP funds, but we haven't quite confirmed which project we're going forward with.
Okay, well, thanks.
But we are excited about the Nevada Targeted Fund. So.
Well, I was going to say, talk a little bit about the significance of the targeted funds to the overall program.
The targeted fund is huge. Like Eddie said, we've applied multiple times at NRHA. And I went back and I was looking at some numbers. So from the 2021 year, there were 46 awards for AHP funds. One went to a project in Arizona, one went to a project in New Mexico, and 44 were in California. And in 2022, it looked like there were 39 awards, 2 were for Nevada, 5 Arizona, and 32 for California. So the fact that we now have a targeted fund just for our state, it means that we're competing against more similar projects in similar areas with similar environments. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to be competing in our own area and having money specifically for this state. The Nevada, I don't feel like Nevada has as many funding opportunities as maybe a bigger state like California. So to be able to have funding directed towards us is really big in the affordable housing environment. And the fact that we've also been working with FHLB for even before they did the targeted fund, the fact that they would work with us to get our Silver State energy efficiency requirements accepted, as opposed to having to hire a California consultant to meet some of the other energy efficiency requirements to get your points for the application. I think FHLB is doing a great job working with us, and I appreciate that relationship.
Well, great. Well, thank you for that. That's great information. The audience. I think they might...
We do have some questions from the audience, Ralph. Do you want me to read them?
Yeah, go ahead.
You could answer them live. Awesome. So Carol Wayman asks how you were able to recruit a financial institution to submit your application, and how did you work with the bank, CDFI, or credit union sponsor? So that's a really important point for those who have never applied before, that you do have to have a member bank to submit an application. And by member bank, we mean a bank that's a member of the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. So could any of the developers on the call talk about how they build relationships with their member banks to submit these applications?
I mean, I'll jump in. It is tough. You have to, the Federal Home Loan Bank actually has a list of member banks. You can look at that list, and hopefully you're familiar with someone in that member bank that's on that list, and you have a relationship with them. Most banks all banks have to comply with the CRA Act. And so oftentimes banks have CRA managers or folks tasked at the bank to try to find these types of eligible projects that will help them with their CRA review. So start early. And if the bank itself doesn't have experience with the Federal Home Loan Bank process, AHP process, I know the Federal Home Loan Bank staff will help the member bank, but also maybe reach out a couple other feelers with a few other member banks as well, just to be safe. Because, like Eddie was talking about, it's hard to, you don't get an extension on those deadlines, those applications. It's once a year. The old days, it used to be twice a year. So you just got to try to get that application in.
Yeah, like Eddie said, we used to work really closely with Charles Schwab, and now they're not. We're not working with them. They're not in the area. So we have a good working relationship with Wells Fargo from some other projects, and so we've been able to talk to them about sponsoring us. And just on Hafen, we are working with a new bank that we haven't worked with before, but we're building a relationship there with Pacific Premier.
Great, thanks, Beth. Any other questions from the audience, Joanna?
I know we're really short on time, but we just have one more question. Did you have any discussions about using the Community Investment Cash Advance or Community Investment Program to lower interest rate charged on any loan for the project? And was the financial institution interested in applying for a CICA or CIP to lower your cost of funds? So maybe if anyone has a really brief answer to that question, or can answer it can type the answer before Kara logs off, that'd be great.
And I know Rose might be able to help answer that question too, if there's anything the bank can offer.
Yeah, I mean, I think members can definitely choose to use the CICA program if they're providing permanent debt to the project. I think it's really just a conversation you'd want to have with your member bank, whoever is sponsoring the application. And just to echo what Joe and Beth were saying earlier about finding members, I think using members that you're already working with on financing the project, or you've worked with in the past, that's probably the best way to go about it. But if you're really stuck, you can reach out to us and we can put you in touch with someone. So, yeah.
Thank you, Rose. Well, listen, with that, I think we are now effectively out of time. So, Joanna, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Joe, Beth, and Eddie, and Ralph, and Rose, and Hector for joining us today. I know it's a lot to pack into a short session, but we really are excited about this Nevada Targeted Fund. We have some upcoming events. Next month's Lunch and Learn is a policy discussion, Nevada housing policy discussion in February, so please join us for that. And for those of you who are new to development or interested in learning more about development, we have some development workshops coming up in the end of January in Reno and early February in Las Vegas in-person workshops with enterprise community partners to dig a little deeper into all the resources and nuances of being a developer. So please join us for that. You can register on our website at Nevada Housing Coalition. And with that, I will let you guys go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday.